Are there any drummers in the house?
I play percussion.
That's because he couldn't play anything else.
Shut up.
Come here, dude.
Hey, man. Did you touch my drum set?
Nope.
It's just weird, because seems like someone definitely touched my drum set.
Yeah, that is weird. 'Cause I didn't touch them.
I am warning you right now, if you touch my drums, I will stab you in the neck with a knife.
Not quite my tempo. It's all good. No worries. Here we go.
Hey guys, be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes and leave us positive reviews. So if you could go leave us a nice 5-star review, it really helps out with the podcast. Also, it helps with our rankings. So if you're trying to find us, it's easier to. So 5-star reviews, be sure to go subscribe to the podcast. So go to your iPhone or your Android or whatever you use to listen to the podcast and just go hit subscribe. It's real easy. It takes like 3 seconds. So please go do that, and I will love you forever. Thanks.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Drumheads podcast. My name is Daniel, and this is episode 82 with Ricardo Ramirez. I know, finally a new podcast. I know, I have felt so bad these past couple weeks. I have been slammed like crazy at work. It's just been nonstop. It goes in this order. Guy quit. No, hang on. Guy got fired. Guy got quit. Guy quit. So it leaves me with a tremendous amount of a workload on me, and I'm like, I can't. It's just been crazy. So I felt bad. I had to reschedule this podcast one time with Ricardo. I had it all lined up. I was off. The kids were... Where were the kids? I think they were going to see a friend. So I was like, I had the house to myself. This is going to be a nice, calm day. I recorded a podcast out in, with Saraz. I'm like, oh, this is going to be great. And then I get a call from my boss. He's like, hey, by the way, someone just quit. I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. So I had to, message Ricardo and be like, hey, man, I got to put this off. I'm sorry. So we finally got it, rescheduled back up. And I almost had to cancel. Again, it was this close. Like, I had the day off, and they had another guy quit, and they're like, you've got to go to Tennessee. I'm like, no, I don't. I'm going to do this podcast with Ricardo, then I'll go to Tennessee. I'm not doing this again. So thank you to Ricardo for being so gracious and understanding of how life just gets crazy. And it's always when you don't want it to. I'm like, it'd have been wonderful when I needed to be crazy a couple of months back, but you roll with it. So I had a wonderful conversation with Ricardo. I mean, the guy has a very interesting way about coming about what he's wanting to do with social media. He's really focusing on his Instagram. We had this conversation about how a lot of companies and a lot of like production companies and artists and things like that are going to people's Instagram pages to check them out. I'm like, I did not know that. That's very interesting. But it makes sense. It's very visual. That you get through the nonsense. You just click on Instagram and you just scroll through the pages. The various things they've posted. So it makes sense. And so we had this great conversation about making sure that your Instagram page, if you're wanting to be a professional drummer, to have a professional page. You're not coding and all that stuff. You're just posting content, but make sure it's good content, stuff like that. So he also teaches, but he's also helping other drummers, find ways they can be successful as a, full-time, this is my 9-to-5 job being a drummer kind of thing. So I found that fascinating. He's like sharing his wealth of knowledge with everybody. So that's super admirable, and I appreciate that. So it was wonderful having him on. So if you guys, could go to his Instagram page, which is RRM92, or you can type in Ricardo Ramirez. He should pop up. Just go check him out. The dude he's gonna be big one day. And right now he's the America's Got Talent drummer. What? I know, that's crazy. To think that, I have a guy that's on a TV show playing drums on my podcast. That's crazy, yo. I mean, like, what? So I know it's like his second season, so he's really digging in deep with like these companies, and it was just a great story about how he came upon this gig and all that stuff. So thank you, Ricardo, for being on. Thank you for being patient with me and working with my schedule. I know it's like, really, I'm hoping like people are not like, oh, come on, Daniel, come on, this is nonsense. Pull it together, man, pull it together. But no, they're all nice. They're all super gracious. So here it is, episode 82, Finally, I got a minute. So here it is, episode 82 with Ricardo Ramirez. Check it out. Hey guys, welcome back to the Drumheads podcast, and I am joined by Ricardo Ramirez. Did I say that last name right?
That was perfect, man.
Good. I didn't even ask beforehand. I'm like, I know that one. So how are you? How's your day going?
Doing great, man. Been a busy morning trying to get some drums in, some Instagram videos, editing, and so it's good. I can't complain. I get to play drums for a living. So
I know, yeah.
What about you, man?
It's been a chaotic morning. I played some drums. Been reviewing this Predator percussion snare drum, and it's pretty tight. Mike Martin sent it over, and I've been just kind of tooling around with it and seeing how it, tuning it low, medium, different, setting, dialing it in, and just see what it does. And it's a pretty good versatile drum. So
nice.
It's been fun
Is
playing
it
with that.
one of those like stav or stave drums?
Yeah, it's one of those stave drums. Yeah,
Okay.
and I've had him on the podcast, and I reached out to him like, hey, maybe send one out my way. I'll review it, and kind of feature it on my Instagram and just kind of go from there. He's like, yeah. I'm like, cool.
Sweet.
So it's pretty
I gotta
fun.
play one of those things.
They're
I
fun.
heard some good stuff.
Yeah, I was like, when I first heard about stave drums, I'm like, I never heard of it till I started the podcast. Everything's either been steel or just like plywood,
Right.
shells. But when I heard stave, I'm like, well, that really hold up? And it
Yeah.
does. And then like the craftsmanship is incredible.
Those shells are just massive. It's like, I don't even know how freaking thick it is. It's insane.
Yeah, it'd be like a 20-ply shell, but it's just like blocks, which is so, it just blows your mind.
Yeah, exactly.
So cool, man. So, I usually like to start off with, just kind of your drumming background. So did you grow up in California?
I did. I grew up in California. I started playing drums when I was around like 10 years old. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so my dad played keys. My sister sang, and they had like a band. It was like Selena all over again. So
that's old school reference right there.
Exactly. The funny thing is that I actually like really hated drumming when I was like 10 years old because I was into skateboarding. All I wanted. And my dad, like, he bought me a drum set and all that, and I would play like here and there, but like every day I just wanted to skateboard. And it wasn't until I was about like 15 where I got like really serious about drumming because the drummer in my dad's band quit, and they already had gigs lined up for the rest of the year. And he was like, all right, I need a drummer. You're in. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I don't want to play drums in a band. I just want to, I want to skateboard every day.
Yeah.
So we started rehearsing. I had to learn, 60 songs or something. It was so many songs. They were, a Spanish cover group. So they would do, cumbia, norteño, banda, all that, regional Mexican type of music. And I ended up doing my first gig with them at a nightclub. I was 15 years old. And I walk away with $300 that night, and I'm like,
I don't get $300 from skateboarding. Yeah,
exactly. I'm like, okay, I'm done skateboarding. Let's play some drums.
Yeah.
And then from there, I fell in love.
Did you?
Doing that. I remember being in high school, sophomore year, and starting to look up YouTube videos of different drummers, and that's when I found Thomas Pridgeon, Tony Royster, all these people. I would watch every single day in my computer class. I would type my stuff, my assignment, and then the last 30 minutes I would watch that Tony Royster drum channel when the ESAT band thing. I'd watch that every single day, and I'm like, dude, I'm gonna do that one day.
Nice.
And that really, really inspired me.
Nice. The skateboarding, I skateboarded when I was I started at 10, and then I broke my wrist, and I couldn't play. So I'm like, yeah, maybe I should cool it on the skateboarding. So
yeah. Have
you had any injuries skateboarding? And
of course, I broke my ankle. I chipped the bone in my ankle, and then I broke my thumb. So I chipped the bone in my thumb. So on my left hand, this goes 90 degrees. This one goes about half.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's weird. If I want to bend it, I have to so weird. And I thought I wonder if that affects me with my drumming, but I don't think so because when you hold the stick, it's
Yeah. Well, and I broke my wrist right here, and sometimes I feel it. I'll feel a little tired, especially after doing a long set. I'll feel a little bit. I don't know. I'm 33, so I'm a little bit older than you, I think. So I don't know if it's just yeah. And then my day job is pretty labor intensive too. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that stresses that wrist out.
Yeah. So was 20 Roaster, were those your first drummers that really kind of stood out to you?
Yeah, I mean, when I was growing up, I didn't know what drumming could be. I didn't know people had 30 freaking cymbals and more than like 3 toms or 2 toms, you know. So that's when I started going on YouTube, and I'm like, I found Tony Royster, Dennis Chambers, Thomas Purgeon, Thomas Lang, Mike Johnston, like all these people, and I'm like, dude, like this is so dope. Like I would see videos of like Tony playing with like Jay-Z and Thomas Pridgen with Mars Volta. And when I was growing up, I was really into like my personal style was like the whole rock alternative. So Circa Survive, Chiodos, and all these kinds of bands. I followed like a lot of the drummers that were in those bands. And just it was literally from there, just seeing all these drummers online and like what drumming could potentially become. That's when I really fell in love. Like, okay, this is not just a thing where you go and play drums on the weekend. Like this could be more. You know, this is a passion. This is something that I could do for a 9 to 5 one day, and that's what I got for.
Yeah. Did you do any like school band or anything like that when you were?
I did. I started late though. I mean, I was all self-taught. My dad knew like one beat on the drum set, and that's the only beat he taught me. And then the first song I ever learned on drums was like a Selena song, and the first English song I learned was "Smells Like Teen Spirits" by Nirvana. I just listened to the song over and over, and I'm like, and I just started copying it. So when I was a sophomore, or I don't know if it was sophomore, junior, 10th or 11th grade, I joined jazz band in high school, and I also did marching. So I did a little bit of marching, but we sucked. Like we were all terrible, and I didn't learn how to read music. It was funny. My marching instructor, they would throw sheet music in front of me, and I never knew how to read any of it. And he's like, "Read that?" I'm like, "No," but I knew my rudiments. So he'd be like, "It's 2 paradiddle diddles followed by a flam, a paradiddle, and then like a drag." And I'm like, "Oh, I can play it." And then that's literally how I got through drumline.
Nice. I never thought about that. Doing that, it's like I can't read music either. You know, I'm dyslexic, so all the music just to mess on the sheet. But if you know your rudiments, that makes sense. I never thought about that.
It makes it a little bit easier because to me, it's just a bunch of like black notes and beams, and I'm like, I don't get it. Like I knew a quarter note, an eighth note. I didn't know how to read it when it was on paper. He was like, well, that's 2 paradiddles, and that's a paradiddle diddle, and then I'm like, okay, I'll just play that. Or someone would play it for me, and they'd be like, and then I would pick it up because I'm more of a by ear kind of person.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, cool.
So.
And did you play in any other bands besides your dad's band? You know, like any garage bands or anything like that?
No, I'm trying to think. When I was younger, it was mainly, I think when a year before that, before I joined my dad's band, I actually joined like an all kids band that was playing the same music. Like all youngsters, like playing like cumbia and all that kind of stuff. So I think I was like 14 at that age. That was like a garage band type thing. We would gig like at weddings and quinceañeras and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We had like 4 or 5 gigs. So I remember one time we took a tour bus to like Sacramento to play at one of their families' like weddings or something, and we thought we were like amazing. We're like, we're gonna make it, we're gonna be famous one day, like, oh my god. And then that never happened. So I did a bit of the garage band. I was never like in an actual band that I started like myself, like, all right, we're making a rock band, we're gonna do this. I guess I figured early on it was pretty difficult to do that, especially because I got kind of spoiled because I got thrown into paid gigs. So everything outside of that, as I got older, that wasn't paid, I was like, you want me to rehearse with you guys for 6 months to go play a free show at like a bar with 2 people there? Like, sorry guys, I can't do that.
Yeah.
So and it wasn't anything bad. I just realized, like, dang, it's hard to play your own original music. You have to like, unless it's my band that I start with like good friends, and I'm willing to like sacrifice and play all the free shows to get the exposure and all that. Like, I've never really done that, and I guess I've been blessed too that a lot of the work that's been coming my way has always been like paid work and stuff. Well, that's pretty sweet.
That sounds like a good, I guess a lesson to drummers out there, is take the paid gigs, if you can, And if you really want to make money at it, don't, like you said, don't just play with us for 6 months, like you said, for free, and then you're like, why do I not have any money and I'm having to work another job?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely possible to do that. And I always, till this day, I'll still play a free gig if I think it's worth it. Like if they call me tomorrow to play for the Grammys and it's not paid, I'm like, I'm there.
Yeah.
Because at the same time, it benefits you as well as a drummer. You're playing on the Grammys, or you're playing for this artist. So I think as a musician, you have to be able to pick, like, okay, if I'm going to do it for free, is this going to benefit me? And am I going to network maybe with some great musicians that are on the stage that are playing with other people, where I can, in the future, get a gig? So I'm always playing the long haul instead of like a short term. Like, okay, I'm going to make $50. I'd rather play for $0, but connect with like some really amazing musicians in the industry, or play for something that's going to give me a lot of exposure or something like that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
so
that makes
free is fine,
Yeah, within moderation, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you be the judge of that, you know.
Well, and like you said, if you got called to play for the Grammys, you're going to meet all these incredible musicians, but also, people in the industry as well, and like, oh, well, that's Ricardo. He did this favor for us, maybe we should call him in the future, kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it will, like, I always tell drummers, like, I have a ton of DMs that guys are always like, hey, I really want to do this for a 9-to-5 job. Like, I want to do this for the rest of my life. How do I do it? Like, how do I transition? How do I get gigs? I'm like, well, at first you kind of do have to play some free gigs, but do it with people who are the right people that are going to get you work in the future. Because if you go and do a free gig with like a country pop band, and, hey, we're doing a party, it's 3 sets, it's not paid, but maybe in the future there's going to be more gigs. If you give that gig 150%, those guys are going to see that. They're going to see that you're solid, you're a great person to hang with, and they're going to call you for more gigs. Or when their friend says, hey, do you know a drummer? They're going to send your name. And that's how you start working. You just start building that network of people that you always work with. It's like a team effort. Yeah.
So, and that kind of leads us into an interesting, conversation, especially with Instagram. It's such a blowing up platform, people are really getting exposure on Instagram, who, they're just in the middle of nowhere sometimes, literally. Yeah. And, how do you see that being like a very pivotal thing in the future for drummers, is, making sure you have a presence on Instagram and Facebook and all that? Or
100%. Like, if you're a drummer and you're not on Instagram and you're trying to be like a professional drummer working, really cool. I mean, I get a lot of my work because of my Instagram. Like, I don't send people to my website. I send people to my Instagram. When somebody wants to see my work, go to my Instagram, because I treat my Instagram like a website.
Totally, yeah.
But I try to only put high-quality content, nice videos when I'm performing with artists, picture with artists, photo shoots that I set up and I do to do like high-quality photos. Everybody that, like, I do consulting also with drummers, and like, people that I talk to, and they're like, what should I do? Like, how do I start doing this? The first thing I say is Instagram. Photographer. Get some professional photos. If you're going to be making videos, invest into like a nice camera with some audio, and then start performing. And every time you perform, get like a GoPro and get you playing and get the audience in the front. People can see where you're playing, what kind of venues, how many people are in those venues, and that's really where you start. But 2017, I think, is going to be all Instagram. And you probably noticed this too. A lot of companies are now going to Instagram, and they're to endorse all of the content producers.
Yeah,
guys that are pumping out videos every single day. Companies are going to them because they're getting thousands of views on stuff, and they put their product in their hands.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and, you look at someone like Dan Silver. The drumming beat. He got sponsored by Meinl. He's a guy in outside New York City. Picked up a deal with Meinl. Then you got Tristan Kelly from Colorado, putting up a video every day, picked up by Meinl. You've got all these guys, and like you said, it's just they're great videos. They're great drummers too, and and they're just promoting themselves through their Instagram versus, you know, the traditional outlets of like sending your stuff to a record company and, you know, it's a different model for sure.
Yep. Now we're living in like a super media age. Everything is media. If you're not pumping out media, if you don't have a social media presence, it's difficult. And being in LA, your image, your social media is everything. I mean, part of like getting a gig is like 50 to 60% is really based on like your image, your social media, how you carry yourself on your social media. I'd say 40% of it is like 30 to 40% is how you are as a person, how you interact with people, how you hang with all those people. And like honestly, 10 to 20% is your playing. Like, you don't have to be a great drummer to work, but if you're a great person to be around, people see like your social media that you're professional and you have a look that they can put in their band and you fit the look of the unit, you're working. That's what it takes to work.
And also, you know, with Instagram, it takes away the ability for you to be fake, I think.
Right.
You have to be yourself. You know, if you're putting up videos that are kind of, you know, you're trying to show off special effects and stuff like that, people are not really going to like that. They just want to see just a good drumming video most of the time.
Yeah. And people are going to sniff it out right away.
And they also want to see, you know, your reactions to other drummers, like through comments, you know. When I think of like someone who comments on someone's other drummer's stuff, I think of Joey Bones. You know, that guy is so positive. You know, you know, he's always complimenting other drummers, giving them advice in a, you know, constructive manner, not a, you know, oh, that sucked, you know, you really need to get your chops together manner. You know, like, oh, that's great. You know, maybe try just tweaking this one little thing, you know. And companies really like that. You know, they like seeing the positivity.
That goes a long way because in this industry, what you hear the most is all the negative. Like, so funny with the Grammys that just happened yesterday. Like, my feed, just every person who has an opinion of Grammys, like, this person sucked, that person shouldn't, Bruno should have not done Prince. It's like, let me see you go up there and perform. Like, let me see you put the band together. Let me see you go up there and sing and play and try to impersonate, like, Prince. It's like, come on, dude. Like, all these people have so many opinions. It's like, can people just spread out positivity a little more, you know? And I love Joey for that. And I tell him all the time, like, dude, your support for the community is amazing, you know?
So, and you just hit like a big milestone on, you know, Instagram. You hit over 10,000 followers, which is, you know, woo!
It's like puny, but it's growing. It's going.
Dude, let me tell you, it takes off after 10,000. Getting that 10,000 is the hardest. After that, just boosh, it blows up. Like, I went from 10,000 in the end of 2015 going into 16, and then by end of 2016, you know, blew up for me. It just takes time.
50 some or something like that.
That's
now,
crazy.
Right?
I can't. Every day I wake up, I'm like, really? I'm just some schmuck in North Carolina. What do I have to say? You know, but I guess I have something. But it's awesome. It's a fun thing, you know, and you're doing a cool giveaway as well. You're doing the SimPad giveaway, right?
Yeah, which actually
you just gave away
today.
Yeah.
Sending that package a little bit later. The winner was a drummer in Florida, which is pretty cool. I worked at so I endorsed SimPad, and at NAMM, I was helping out Redo, which is the owner of SimPad, helping him out at the booth. And he's like, you know, how much do I owe you for working? I'm like, oh, dude, like, I'm here to help out. Like, he's one of my favorite guys. I love that company. They show me so much love. And I was like, if you want to give me anything, dude, just give me a bunch of stuff to give away to other drummers. Like, I want to inspire other drummers. I want to give out. I want to give back for the community that's supporting me. So he's like, cool. And he just gave me a ton of stuff from SimPad that day. And I'm like, all right, let's do a giveaway.
Yeah. And that also helps grow your audience too. It's just, you know, doing the giveaways. Yeah. Like you said,
it's a great way to give back.
Yeah. And you're showing love back to your fans and then, you know, the community. And, you know, it's a fun time, you know. It's when every day I get on and I scroll through and, you know, you see these cool products, you see these cool companies that you never heard of, and you're like, oh, that's so rad, you know. Follow. Like, so what else are you trying to accomplish with your Instagram? Just helping drummers, you know, learn the industry and how to become a successful drummer, you know, that can make money and pay the bills.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I love doing is one, like I'm also an entrepreneur. I own like a small music school in Glendale with my partner here in Los Angeles. So since I was a kid, I was always like an entrepreneur, like a little hustler. So I was like, okay, I know I got to have a business someday. What's it going to be? And it's funny because business and drumming go together hand in hand.
Oh yeah, totally.
And if you want to be a working drummer, you also have to have an entrepreneur mindset and know how to market yourself and brand yourself. So when drummers come up to me and or DM me and say like, "Hey, I want to do this. I want to do what you're doing. Where do I start?" And I just start giving them tips like how to market your social media, to use your Instagram and whatnot. So for me, I'm using my Instagram to give back to drummers who are starting out and want to do what I do.
Yeah.
When I was starting in 2008 or something is when I was starting to like really get serious about drums. I was looking for information of how to do it. Like, what's the unlock of like if I do this one task, we'll get it. But it didn't exist.
Yeah,
and it was mentors. Like, I wish Tony Royster was posting tips of how to get the gig, or Thomas Pridgeon or Mike Johnson, like whoever. But no one was doing it. So now that I've had a little bit of success and I've moved to LA, I got the gig on America's Got Talent. I play for Shad Maragili. I work every single weekend playing drums, and I pay my bills, pay my apartment, go on vacations. All that is paid by drumming and music, which is easy. So what I want to do is, if there's people that are serious about doing that, I want to give back to them and I want to show them. So like, you look at my DMs, like you just do this, and it's just messages, like, drummers and drummers and drummers. Where I don't know if people know this, but Instagram has a DM function where you can reply in a video. So people will send me DMs and I'll send them back like a 2-minute video of like, bro, I think, David, I think this is what you should do. I saw your videos. They're really dark. Maybe invest in like a Canon 3 Ti. It's like $300. Get a 50 millimeter lens. Start producing some really cool videos. You already have great audio, so start doing videos. Or, what should I do about my drumming, my left hand? And then I'll like record an exercise for them. I'm like, hey man, do this for your left hand. So I just really, I've always been the kind of person to inspire, and I love inspiring other people. So that really is what helped me hit that 10K. Is I switched my mentality of my Instagram. Instead of me, like if you go to all my past posts, it was always like, hey, look at me on this gig. Look at me with this. Look at me doing that. I reversed it. I'm like, how can I provide value to the people who are watching me?
Yeah, totally.
So now what I do is like, I'll share my story of like the America's Got Talent thing. It's like, you think all of a sudden it's like, boom, it happened. Like that took 8 years. 8 years of like figuring this thing out, and that to me, just the main thing that's happening now with my Instagram is, how can I give back to other drummers who want to do what I do, and how can I help them? I'm trying to basically scale the unscalable. How can I do one-to-one combat with drummers and help them on a one-to-one basis? Because that's going to go a long way. I'm not looking for like a short-term return. I'm looking for like long term.
Yeah, totally. Well, and that's how I view like podcasting is sitting down and having conversations like this in like long form, where you're not trying to hit this beat, you're not trying to hit these questions like in a magazine interview or like a 5-minute video you see on Facebook or something. And I think people can learn a lot through other people's stories. I do.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, every person I've had on this podcast, I've come away from like, oh, I did not know about this. I've learned more about that. And it's such a, if you're a drummer, there's information there. You just got to find it, a lot of times. So
and all this information is useful. Even if you don't think it's like in a 50-minute podcast, you might find like one golden nugget that could change your life.
Oh,
like
yeah.
The way you view drumming and the way you network and market. So it's great. I mean, I love doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah. It brings the audience a little bit closer to you, I think, as well. It humanizes them. Used to it was the audience was here and you were here and there was something in between. It was a buffer. Now it's nothing. You're directly connected.
Right. And what social media does to people nowadays is it allows everyone to polish everything. So you don't see the practice, you don't see the struggle. What you see on Instagram is like 1 hour of recording a lick, and then you literally take a 60-second clip that's like somewhat decent to post online. So this kind of interaction, you get to see who the person is, who they really are, get in their mind a little bit, and see like, okay, I see what kind of person they are. You know?
Yeah. So to kind of switch topics, America's Got Talent. So how did you land that gig? How did that come about?
That was funny. It was actually from Facebook. So the singer on the America's Got Talent, she posted something on her Instagram, on her Facebook, saying we need a drummer and keyboard player for a TV show, and that was it. And that's kind of what happens in LA a lot. It's like, we need a guitar player for this Sunday music video, and there's like a bunch of like Facebook pages where it's like musicians, and you get to go there, and everybody posts gigs. What's it called? So my old buddy, he's a guitar player, and there was already like 40 or some comments, and when she posted that status, and he threw my name in the mix, and it was like, hey, I think Ricardo Ramirez would be good for this. And then I saw it like the next day or something. No, I had to go research after, because I got a random call, and it's like, hey, we're trying to book you tomorrow for America's Got Talent. I'm like, what? Like, how the heck did this happen? I was flying back from like Minneapolis or something like that. I was about to board a plane, and I get a Facebook message from the singer. And she was like, hey, they're trying to book you for America's Got Talent tomorrow, but they can't find your number anywhere. So I'm like, what? Is this real? Like, I wrote back, I put my number in there. And I think she might have sent me the number of the manager. So I called the manager, and I'm like, hey, this is Ricardo Ramirez. I'm looking for Jill. And she's like, oh, yeah, we've been trying to find you, and we saw like your stuff, and we want to hire you to play on America's Got Talent. I'm like, yeah, I would love to go. They're like, cool, rehearsal's tomorrow. Can you be here? I'm like, well, I'm flying back home right now to LA, so yeah, I'll be there. I'm like, okay, awesome. So I gave her my email. They sent me over the music. I listened to it on the plane ride back. I charted out the stuff that night, and I went into rehearsal the next day.
Nice.
So it was literally that fast. But the reason I got the gig was because all of my social media was 100%.
Nice.
Because for those kind of TV shows, it's a lot about image. It's 60% image, 40% you're playing. If you call yourself a professional musician, a lot of these TV shows, they know you can play, but they want to see that your image fits behind like a 13-year-old singer, and then also a 28-year-old jazz guy, and then an 80-year-old woman that's like an amazing, phenomenal singer. Like, they need to be able to envision you in each band where you fit the puzzle. And I think that's what my social media did for them, because they were able to see my Instagram, my Facebook, my website, where it was all high-quality photos. It was all videos of me playing. So they could already imagine me on the show. And I didn't even audition. I just went straight in.
Nice. Well, and that makes sense, about, the trying to fit into, like you said, so many different types of people. If they went on your social media page, and you're, you've got like upside down crosses on your forehead tattooed, you're like, this guy's an amazing drummer, but I mean, I don't think he's going to really work with the band kind of thing. Right. So
the funny thing is that guy would work for like a death metal band.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Like, I have friends who have sleeve tattoos, and they get called for like punk rock gigs because they have the look.
They have the look. Yeah.
They have the look, and it's literally like they go for the look first before the sound, which kind of sucks. It should be like, I wish LA was the other way around, where it's like your musicianship could speak for you, but it doesn't. And I know a lot of musicians who are amazing musicians, but because they're not so hip on like what's new and fashion trends and stuff, like to them they're just musical geniuses. But a lot of companies and big people won't give them a shot just because they're like, yeah, you don't look very modern to be in my band. Yeah, so it sucks.
Well, and LA is a very, like you said, it's about how you look and how you dress, where Nashville is more about, you can get away with your musicality versus your looks. And then New York is different. It's a beast of its own. It's hard to really say what works in New York and what doesn't. So, but yeah.
I think New York is probably pushes the most on the musicianship, like the musicality.
Yeah.
Well, it's because I had an interesting conversation with Chris Coleman. I studied with Chris Coleman a little bit in L.A. and he moved to New York not too long ago. I think he's teaching out there and he's also studying. And I asked him, like, how is it in New York? He's like, man, it's like there's some of the best musicians out there, but the thing is, a lot of them are just not passionate. They're there for a paycheck. So in New York, it's like, are you available? And like basically, can you make the date? So if you're available for the gig, you got it. And the guys they're not really passionate. They go in, they do their 9-to-5 job, and then they bounce. There's no passion. I think in LA and probably Nashville as well, it's like you're happy to be with like friends and playing and jamming and having a good time.
Yeah, totally.
I'm sure that's an experience for everybody, but that was really interesting when he told me that because I thought it would be a different vibe.
Yeah, well, it makes sense. And New York is very gritty and it's it's harsh. It's not a friendly town. Not that saying LA is an easy town either, but when I've been to both, and I would say New York is the more harsher, and LA is more, it's fast, but it's a different. Yeah,
it's not as hard. Yeah, it's not as harsh. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about gear for a second. So what kind of drums are you rocking right now?
So I don't endorse any drums, but I just play what I like, what sounds good to me. So I have a DW kit, and I also have a Thomas Star Classic.
Oh, nice.
So I've been using the DW a little bit more lately, but my first like love for drums was the Star Classic sound. So as soon as I could save up to buy a freaking Tama, I'm like, I'm doing it. Yeah. And I found it crazy. I found a Tama, like I freaking love Craigslist. I'm all about budgeting. And
yeah.
I found a Tama Star Classic. It was like a birch. I think it was like a birch with like Babinga or something. And it was like $550 for everything.
Whoa, nice.
A Chad Smith snare, 4-piece kit, cymbals and like stands. And I'm like, $550, and I think the drummer just didn't know what he had. He was selling it so cheap because I get there, and I'm like, "Why are you selling it?" He's like, "I got a speeding ticket. I'm just trying to pay it off." So I'm like, "Dude, take my money, please."
Here, I'll give you an extra $100 just to.
Exactly. Yeah. So I bought it for like $550, and then on top of that, I had a bunch of stands, so I sold like the cymbals, the snare, and all the cymbal stands, and I made like $400. So I literally paid $150 for my drum set.
Nice. That's fantastic.
So I've had that kit for years. I've toured with it. It's all scratched up and beat up, but it sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And then I just recently, maybe about a year and a half ago, got this like yellow Tony Williams DW, like a 90s black badge DW. I love it. Sounds good. I just posted a video of it right now on my Instagram. I endorse Evans, so and Diodario, ProMark, and Evans. So they just sent me their UV1 heads.
Oh, I have that on my snare. I love it.
Dude, it sounds amazing. And I love like a 10-inch like cranked up.
Yeah.
The fact that it's like a 10 ply, a 10 mil like single ply.
Yeah.
It sounds so good. The floor tom, I'm still messing around with it because they're meant to have a little bit of like a jazzier sound.
Yeah.
Which is, I love it. So I'm using the UV ones right now. I think my snare has like the heavyweight Evans, but I also bounce back between the heavyweight and the HD dry. I love that sound for like rock stuff.
Yeah, I had the HD dry on mine for a while, and when they came out with the UV1, I'm like, let's try this on the snare drum, because I've always liked the single ply head, because it just has a little bit more response to it. But I like the crackiness that you get from a 2-ply head. So it's like it's a mix of both. It's the best of both worlds kind of thing going on.
Yeah, it is. It's great. And then I'm using ProMark sticks. Lately, I've been using a lot of the those active grip, like the black. I don't know how.
Yeah. I haven't tried those yet. What do you think of those?
They're pretty sweet. I thought I'm always like, I don't like gimmicky stuff where it's like, yeah, you sweat and they're gonna stick to your hands. I'm like, huh? So I tried them and they feel amazing. Like
nice.
the active grip stuff really works and it's not gimmicky. I just don't like when sticks are like black and then they like get all faded from like hitting the hi-hat.
And the rim shots, you can tell where you're hitting the rim on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like it peaks it paints everything, but overall it's like they feel really freaking solid. Like they feel amazing, and they actually hold. They're super durable. So I've been bouncing back between those and a few other models. They just sent me like the Glen Kochi sticks too that has like these like
the ripple
it's like
kind of
thing. Yeah, it's like a ripple thing for holding it, percussion. So I'm like just messing around with those right now. I'm playing Minel Cymbals. I love their stuff. I don't endorse them, but I just love their stuff, so I buy all their crap.
Yeah. They're like killing it in the cymbal world right now too.
They are dominating.
And I think a lot of it has to do with that dry series, you know. There's a lot of companies trying to replicate that now who kind of came late to the game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And not going to name names, but I'm like, dude, it was right there.
Yeah.
The drummer's been buying it up like, you know, hotcakes, you know, and you guys wait 5-6 years to get on that game, you know. But
which is fine. I mean, some companies, I think once they're established, they're like, yeah, we don't need to innovate. Like we're already the brand. But I know it's definitely now it's like it used to be just Zildjian Sabian.
Yeah.
Or like if you want to buy quality cymbals, Zildjian Sabian. Now it's Zildjian Sabian Minel or like the top 3. I think in my opinion. At least.
Yeah, I always consider those like the big 3, or if you want to throw pasty into it, you can call it the big 4. You know, it's
right.
But Minel, you know, I think between like people like Benny Greb and, you know, Chris Coleman, you know, all those guys, you know, just having fantastic sounding cymbals, but, you know, really knowing how to play them as well, because there is a certain technique to really playing some of those cymbals that that
I think they just mastered like that trashiness, but still sounding good.
Yeah.
That's what like a lot of their cymbals like remind me of. They're so trashy and like so buttery, but it sounds beautiful. And for me, I never jumped on the trend of like everybody's using Minel. I got to use Minel. It was like I had a sound in my head, and no company that I played was able to give me that.
Yeah.
And when I started hearing some Minel stuff, I'm like, that's the sound that's in my head, and that's what I. So like, I just searched for the cymbals that I wanted and picked them all up.
Yeah. Well, and it's like the thing with the dry series too is you got a lot of technicians and you know front of house guys, you know, complaining about the sustain on your cymbals, and you know, it's like, can you throw some gaff tape on the bottom, cut the ring out, and you're like, well, this looks tacky. Yeah. But you know, if you make a cymbal that does it automatically, win-win. Yeah. You know,
Yeah. And then on top of that, like another one I just mentioned was Simpad. Like that solves that problem. For me.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Simpad makes like these huge 90 like centimeter or whatever. Like
I've got them on my kit right now. I love them.
Yeah, and it's funny. I did a gig where I was playing at it was a musical, and there was 16 singers and vocalists, like actors on stage. And they had a real band playing, so my drums could not overpower like them talking really soft and stuff. So I threw a lot of those like 70, 80, 90 the Simpads on the bottom of my cymbals. Still get the real feel. I still get the response. They crash. They just decay a little bit faster.
Yeah, that's the what do they call those? The regulators? I forgot what.
It's the optimizers.
Optimizers. Okay, yeah. The chromatics are just your standard ones. The optimizers. Yeah, it's great because you got some play. You've got, you know, some smaller ones, and they go up to the big 90 centimeters.
Yeah, I think they start at like 40 or 50, which is like the regular felt size, and they go all the way up to a 90. They even have like 100 centimeter ones.
Yeah,
those ones are like pretty overkill, where it's like dun, dun, dun,
yeah.
Dry. But my sweet spot is like the 60 or 70. I think it's millimeters, 60 or 70, which is about can't really tell, but it's about it maybe covers like, I'd say half of the bell on a ride. It's the perfect response. And if you have a ride that's like really washy and you want more articulation, you put like a 70 or 80 on the bottom, and it's give you more of that stick definition.
Yeah, totally.
Kill the wash. So you can have basically 2 rides in one. You know, 2 different sounds.
Yeah,
which is pretty.
When they sent me those out, I'm like, wow, this is a game. This is a game changer right here for cymbals, because you know cymbals are not cheap, and if you can create something that can, you know, make you have like 2 or 3 different types of cymbals without actually having different cymbals, you just change those pads, you know, it's worth it.
It's solid. I love those guys. Plus, they're a great company to work with and be a part of. So I love using their stuff. I also endorse Switch Kick by Head, product. So they have a few of their beaters where you literally twist it, pop it off, throw on another one.
Yeah.
It's really killer. I love using their stuff.
I remember donating to their Kickstarter program when they first were trying to come up with that. That was like the end of 2015, I think.
Yeah, it was a while because I remember meeting Kevin, the guy who invented it. I was working at Simpad again that year, and he came up with like an iPad and was showing it to me on an iPad, like a 3D kind of scan thing. And I'm like, yeah, dude, like hit me up once you got it, let me know, I'll rock it. And like I remember seeing him a year later at NAMM, and they had a booth and everything. They were like, all right, dude, we got to get you on.
Yeah,
So
I've got one right now too, and you can just and put on a boomer. You could put on brushes. It's a very cool thing, and that's the great thing. Like I found it on Instagram, and and I think that's when they were trying to kickstart it. It's like, hey, help us out. I'm like, oh, I can definitely donate to that. That's
Nice.
awesome right there. So
yeah, so it's sweet. And then lastly, Kelly Shoe kick drum mount. So I don't, you've seen those, but looks like a horseshoe, goes in your bass drum, pops the mic in there. For me, it's amazing for like live playing, since I'm doing a different gig every weekend. If I got to carry my drums in, I just plop my mic inside there. I don't have to worry about mic stands and cables, and it's really, really cool.
Nice.
I think that's the thing that I'm using.
Do you,
Hopefully I don't nothing.
do you usually like any big fat snare drum or anything like that?
Yeah, I connected with him at NAMM, and I've been meaning to email him because he's like, yeah, dude, we'll hook you up with some stuff. But I love their products. The big fat snare drum stuff is amazing.
Yeah, it's like with cymbals, you can have two different snare drums without changing it out. Which is great.
Yeah, their product is amazing. Really, really cool, and everybody's using it, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And the funny thing, it's one guy running the company.
I know, Chris is crazy. He's
insane. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, dude, I thought you had like an army behind you. He's like, nope, it's all me, homie.
It's like, I'm doing the social media. I'm in the basement. I'm like, dude, chill out. Come on, man.
That's insane.
Yeah. So I guess just to wrap up this podcast is I always ask this one question: is what do you like to do that's not drumming related? Do you have another hobby that you like to do besides drums, or is it just drums?
Yeah, I like to do a lot of like photography and videography. So that's why I'm kind of starting to step up my game with like my videos, because it's funny. I make a ton of videos, and I don't tell people this, but I do a lot of videos for other people. Like EPKs. I recorded a video for Minor with Jimmy Brandley and Luis Conte. It was like a percussion video. I filmed it. I did all the editing and stuff. I just don't tell people like I'm a videographer, like it's more of like a word of mouth thing. Like if my friends need video, or they need media, they need a photo shoot, all that kind of stuff, because it's fun. That's something that I really enjoy doing, and I'm starting to try to do it a little bit more for myself.
Yeah, totally.
And then on top of that, like being a business owner, I've always been an entrepreneur. So when the last year I didn't really do much for my own kind of branding, just because I was building a business with with buddy Marius, and we literally took the whole year of like working 16 hours a day to get students, build a music school, to market, to licenses and schools, and like networking with parents. So when I'm not drumming, when I'm not touring and stuff, I'm at home focused on my business, or I'm also teaching. So
that's cool.
That's the other side.
Yeah, well, and it's always good to have that, that one thing you can deviate and, not stress out about, I guess you could say. Like I'm a movie person, so if I'm getting like overwhelmed with podcasting and drumming, it's like, all right, Godfather Part 2, take me away, Yeah, so,
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm a big Walking Dead fan too, so whenever that's on, I'm like all in. I'll stop everything to watch Walking Dead.
I cannot do that show. That just
dude, it's so good.
I know, it just like,
everybody's like,
it ruins my sleep. Like I'll have nightmares for like a week just of zombies gonna kill me. I'm like, ah!
Yeah.
Cool, man.
My fiance's the same way. She's like, nope.
Nope. Yeah, I hear you. But so what does the future hold for you? What's in the pipeline, or is it kind of shush kind of things? Or
no, there's nothing to. I'm always up to sharing my story. Like I hated when drummers that I looked up to were like low key, got some coming up. I can't talk about it. It's like I want to just be as honest as possible with my journey. That's really what I'm trying to do. Like I said earlier, with the social media world that we live in now, everything is through a filter. Everything, like you post a photo, you swipe to put a filter and make it look pretty and make it look perfect. I just want to share my journey, pretty or not pretty. And whether it takes me like the next 2-3 years is going to be building, like I'm building a business with Unique Education, which is my company, and then I'm building Ricardo Ramirez, which is my personal brand. Yeah. So it's just tackling both of those, and at the same time, like I just got engaged, so having a wedding and all that kind of stuff, and family. So the next year is literally building the business, building Richie Ramirez, and finding the balance of like, if I work Unique during the day, and then I work on my part from 7 p.m. to 2 in the morning, and the same thing, like all over again. And then touring and gigging, I play with Shadmir Aguili, so we have a lot of shows coming up. He's doing a world tour, and then I'll be doing America's Got Talent again in the summer for season 12.
So how many seasons have you done that? Have you been doing that from?
I just started.
Oh, just started. Okay.
Just the last season, which I believe was 11 or 9, I forget which one it is. But I'll be doing that again in the summer, which is really exciting.
Nice, cool. Well, yeah, and so you're getting married here soon.
Yeah, I think September.
September. Oh, okay, cool. That's when I got married, was in September.
Nice.
Don't spend a lot of money on the wedding, if you can.
That's what we're trying to do right now. Oh my God, I'm trying to budget everywhere.
Yeah. Luckily, my wife was super like she's like, why do I want to spend all this money on like this huge wedding? Right. For people that we'll see for a couple hours, and we'll be in debt up into our eyeballs with wedding stuff. She's like, I'd rather put it toward like a house or a vacation. I'm like, I love you, because because you see those bridezillas. It's like, I gotta have the $10,000 dress. I hate you. It's like, whoa, okay, all right, whatever. But
that's what we're shooting for right now. I'm like, we said the same thing. Like, okay, let's spend the least amount that we can to still have a decent wedding, and like let's maybe save like a few thousand to go on. We want to go like backpacking in Europe for like a month or two.
Yeah, totally.
So I was like, I'd rather spend $5,000 on that.
Yeah,
because
totally.
that's gonna be a bigger experience than a 6-hour day.
Yeah, Well, and you're getting to share that with your your wife then, your to-be wife, you're going to remember that experience, because we did the same thing. We saved our money. We went to Italy and Greece so we could go back and see where my family's from, and I'll never forget that trip.
Yeah, dude, that's so rad.
Yeah,
I love it.
Well, cool, man. Well, I appreciate you being on. So where can people find you on the interwebs?
So RRM92 is my Instagram, which I might be rebranding and changing that. That was like a name that I picked when I was like super young. It's just stuck. So that Instagram, that's the main thing that I'm pushing on. I have an Instagram, Facebook page too. So if you guys just hashtag Richie Ramirez, RICHY Ramirez, you can find it anywhere. Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, all the good stuff.
All the good things.
And mainly, if you want to keep up with me, the Instagram and YouTube is something I'm focusing a lot on this year too. So same thing, RRM92 on YouTube and Instagram.
Nice, cool. Well, again, thank you, Ricardo, for being on, and thank you for doing the NAMM thing. That was such a huge, like when you reached out to him, I remember I was at work. I'm like, yes. I was so excited because I was so bummed I couldn't go, and then and then you're like, hey, I'll do it. I'm like, yes, do it. And everyone loved you meeting up with like Tristan Kelly and and all these other companies. I'm like, it's so awesome. I love it.
Yeah, it was funny. Like I was just running into all these drummers, and it's like, oh, there's Vinny Caluta. Oh, there's Tristan. Oh, there's Mike. Oh, there's Ash Sohn. Like everybody there.
Yeah.
I try to do enough, but you can tell some people want their space and they don't want a camera in their face. So.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Vinny Caluta is like, all right, I get it. Everyone wants my picture. Back off. But oh well.
Yeah, it's like Chris told me, like Chris Coleman, when he walked in like, this is Vic Firth. This is where he walked in. It took him 2 hours just to walk to Vic Firth because everybody was just stopping him.
I could imagine. I would do like the Comic-Con thing and like wear like an outfit that nobody's gonna recognize me in, and be like, so you could actually go around the floor like, why is that guy dressed up as like Boba Fett from Star Wars? And it's actually like Chris Coleman underneath, So it's like, I want to check out the gear, people.
Exactly. Have you been in NAMM before?
No, I was going to the summer one and I got sick, so I'm like, crap.
Man.
So hopefully summer this year. I've already got the hotel booked because I get a hotel discount where I work at, so I'm already got that booked. It's just I got to get the pass, so I'll definitely be there this year.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm gonna try to go too, man. So I'll probably see you out there. It's just a matter of like literally booking the hotel, booking the flight, and it's like, all right, let's just do it.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah,
I just have to. I've never been to Nashville, and I want to go kind of see that scene a little bit more. So
yeah,
I gotta go check it out.
Yeah, cool, man. Well, I'm gonna hit stop real quick. So thank you, Ricardo. We'll see you guys later. Peace.
Peace.